most merciful thing in the world is the inability of the human mind to correlate all of its contents. We exist on a placid island of ignorance, surrounded by the black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far.
We had been looking for a Lovecraft adaptation, something that took the genre, a little more seriously.
I'd been of the belief that although he's been so often adapted, he's really almost never been adapted authentically. I think over 100 of his stories had been adapted to film. There really wasn't a single one that truly captured the terror of his writing.
H.P. Lovecraft is, his stories were all about kind of cosmic terror, and they were infused with mysticism and references to the occult.
I think someone mentioned, did you know Richard Stanley has a Lovecraft project, and would you like to look at it? I said, absolutely.
And he read a little bit of this thing that Richard had written and read like a page and called Elijah, and I was like, I found it. And we all read it and felt the same way.
This is it. This is the Lovecraft film we've been looking for.
It was an experiment in trying to drag H.P. Lovecraft into the 21st century and to try to reinvent the story in a way that could make it relevant for kids in the early 21st century. I certainly hope that Color is able to communicate with the fears and uncertainties of the current generation.
Not only were we considering that we have to pull off this adaptation of a classic American author, but do it with a director who hasn't made his feature film in 20 years.
A lot of people said to me, you're thinking of working with Richard Stanley.
Richard Stanley.
Richard Stanley?
Richard Stanley.
He's crazy, right?
I did do the research. I looked at everything to do with Richard, and I thought, this guy is interesting.
I remember the documentary and the making of Island of Dr. Moreau.
Lost Soul, which is about Richard directing a little bit of Island of Dr. Moreau and then his career imploding, basically.
I haven't directed a theatrical feature film in more than 2 decades, which has been a real long time. There was a period of time when I never thought I would direct a theatrical film again. Josh had to literally drive to the south of France and abduct me in order for this to happen.
What's the worst that could happen?
After Moreau, there were legitimate concerns both from myself and from the various backers, but the weird thing is I found that the moment I started shooting, it became very easy. Something in my brain gives me the shots, which I guess is what makes me into a filmmaker. It makes me happy in a weird way. I feel like when I'm on set, I am who I am and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
He's such an incredible, unique energy and human being.
And working alongside Richard, I feel like that's been a magical journey in itself.
He's a genius that he made this, and he just brings love and Lovecraft and makes this like the best movie in history for me.
That was a huge part of it for us, to be a part of bringing him back to the fold in regards to cinema as a voice that we have been missing.
Richard Stanley's the only choice to direct this movie.
In the words of our lead character, a dream you dream alone is just a dream. A dream you dream together is reality. So let's make it that way.
Cameras rolling, the lights are on. The director calls action, the director calls cut. Act, act, act. Everybody, act, act, act. Out.
Nick was someone who we had spoken about doing this role. When we were doing Mandy, he voiced how much family dramas meant to him, that it was his favorite genre of film. Well, we have a family drama. It's Color Out of Space.
Josh Waller came into my trailer and he put this sort of phony contract that he put together and had me sign it right then and there. Said it wasn't legally binding, but he wanted me to commit. And I did. You fucking cocksucker! You cocksucker! You cocksucker!
Cage. Love his energy, his talent, his craziness.
Moonstruck is one of my favorite movies. I grew up watching National Treasure.
If you ever watched this Into the Spider-Verse, he was in that and he was really good.
Nick Cage and I, we should be in movies together.
You know, Nick has been such a lovely surprise because you never know what to expect. Nick's very famous, and if he'd really played the star, it could have alienated the family dynamic, and he didn't. So, credit to him.
Huh? What?
Yeah. You can tell by
Oh, really? Oh, really? Well, fuck you too.
Nick is so inspiring to watch. He embodies a confidence, but also he's so willing to experiment, to be fluid and just try things.
And action.
I think horror is one of the easiest ways to get abstract and surreal in the performance, which is something that I've always been fascinated by.
He's just funny, he improvs and teaches me how to improv, and he's really fun.
We've been blessed with extraordinary work from Mr. Cage, who is a true movie star, and who really has redeemed my faith in Hollywood, and that it is possible that stars actually exist and have genuine talent and can be gracious, magnanimous human beings who, with a true understanding of what they're doing.
And that's a wrap for Nick for this movie.
Hey, Ezra, got a visitor.
Oh, it's the Surveyor Man.
Sorry, I don't think we've met yet. I'm
the hydrologist.
Yeah, pretty well informed.
A lot of little birdies flitting around here in this ecosphere. You just gotta know how to decode them.
What? What is Tommy Chong doing in this movie?
Oh, I'm just being myself. Oh no, I'm so Ezra. I could live here, in this cabin.
Ezra is a stoner character, but couldn't be more different from the Chong of Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, Ezra is the kind of guy that Richard would hang with, just because he was so crazy.
No. Magnetic distortion, something like that.
They came on the rock.
That's pretty out there.
It's not out there, it's in here. Up is down, fast is slow. What's in here is out there. And what's out there is in here now. It's time that I did a horror movie. I stayed away from them because I was always worried about the karma, that when you wake up those spirits, they don't know it's a wrap. They stay with you.
Tommy turned out to be obviously some gold. He's just a great guy all around. And a walking advertisement for substance abuse. That is in tremendous shape for an 83-year-old. Getting the chance to spend time with Tommy in that cabin was a joy.
And there was different locations that we talked about, like Georgia and various other places.
Obviously for our film being set in the summertime, we needed this kind of lush green environment.
And one thing led to another, and before you know it, we're shooting in Sintra to double for, New England.
This is my first time in Portugal. I love it. I just absolutely love it. It feels like I'm in Canada and no one knows how to speak English.
Obviously, the film is set in this fictional county, so I feel like we could have wound up filming somewhere less sort of wild and different. And so I feel like I really lucked out getting to be on something that is in Portugal.
Shooting in Portugal, anyone should be so lucky.
I mean, look.
Portugal is great. I recommend anyone making movies, if they want to get the job done and do it on time, I would encourage them to go to Portugal.
I think when we take a production to another country, we're always looking for the same thing, which is just production value. You can take the little bit of money that you have and stretch it into 2, 3, 4 times what you actually have.
Sintra specifically is a really interesting place.
Sintra has its own tough elements in that it's its own climate and the weather changes all the time.
For a film crew, that's very tricky, but also kind of a gift because you can get these incredible different atmospheres and moods, and that's what the B team has been getting, those images that look like they're out of a fairy tale book or something.
This whole town's a bit weird, Sintra.
There's another entrance to the underworld down there.
It comes with this really interesting energy to it. There's obviously a lot of history and mysticism.
Sintra is naturally haunted by the ghosts of all these different Goths of the past, Beckford and Crowley and all the different people who've been through here.
And that sort of almost like dark magical energy is infusing the film in a way that's really perfect for our project.
We couldn't be doing what we're doing right now if we were shooting in the US. There's no way. No way.
As Richard said some time ago, like we are reading his mind. Something like we are reading his dreams or even his nightmares.
Very satisfied with the contribution from user T38 and the VFX crew, who are ardent Lovecraft fans who understand the material and understand the issues involved.
Our designers knew the challenge. His books are just sense, concepts, and Lovecraft doesn't describe it.
As long as we can keep it implacable and cosmic and otherworldly, we're doing well.
We wanted to avoid the usual references we have, like Alien. We are making all the digital effects. We are making the pink mantis, the alien world. We are enhancing some of the parts we are shooting. For example, we are supposed to put alien plants on the set. We add some tentacles and tendrils on the alien world. We are making the monster when Nick Cage is holding in the bathroom, stuff like this. I think that the most difficult technically is the mantis, because it has to be very, 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 very realistic. And it has a lot of acting. It's coming out of the cocoon and then fly up to the well.
We are now dealing with things that aren't really there, and aliens that are going to be created in post that are represented by pink balloons tied on sticks and strange plates and frames with nothing going on in them. This film has forced me to into that VFX world, which I guess is a necessary trail, given that whatever I'm going to do next is probably going to go further down that route.
Action!
Color Out of Space is also a horror movie above all. There needs to be proper horror in this film. There will be gore, there will be slime, there will be darkness. I admit I'm old-fashioned. I came up out of loving Willis O'Brien and Ray Harryhausen, and I've always been a creature connoisseur.
Got some full-size puppet pieces, heads and limbs and that kind of stuff. It's really nice to get as much in camera as possible because it's all tangible stuff. We've built a mass of about 10 alpaca as a miniature that's going to be composited into the scene as well. So that's a mixture of rod controls, which can be digitally removed, but also some under-table stuff that allows us to put twitches, and that we're going to use air bladders for breathing, and yeah, it's the whole thing. The Jerisa character, the Jack Teresa hybrid, and they merge together physically and then continue to mutate from there. So I sort of broke down the events into key stages so that we could approach each one as a separate group of effects. And so we have stage 0, sort of very early doors, not really a lot of makeup, a little bit of colour.
I read this script and I was like, God, do I have a fever, or did this all happen in the script? And I really wasn't sure.
Then as we moved on to stage 1, we then started to introduce actual sort of practical effects. There's a few prosthetics on Jolie to indicate that her form is changing slightly. And then we've got quite a big under costume piece, which also has Jack's extremities built into it. So his back and one of his arms is out of her front, and then his legs, his other arm and his face are out of her back. But by the time we get to stage 2, which is the all-out mutation, they've turned into something completely other and much more sort of traditionally Lovecraftian, as they become this sort of 8-limbed mother-son spider hybrid. So we have a full creature performer. Lucy Ridley's coming in to perform for us. She's a sort of professional mover, dancer, and she's bringing a really lovely physicality to it.
I usually do unusual creatures, so creatures that are kind of hybrid or an amalgamation of many different types of things.
But then Jack's face in the back is actually a fully remote-controlled animatronic, which Tom here has been working on for us.
That's so cool.
And then for the close-ups, we have an entirely different system whereby Jolie is connected to a portion of a version of the puppet behind her with a full facial appliance as well.
I did feel, when I was the monster, I sort of wanted to stay a bit in my own world because it was just all so heavy. I wanted to conserve all my energy. But I also saw everyone's fear, and for me it was more fun.
I did my second head explosion. I mean, first time since Dust Devil I got to blow up anyone's head.
It's funny, when I was playing me or Teresa, he didn't say anything, but when I was the monster, he was like, "Oh my God, you are so beautiful."
They're not my family.
It hurts a little bit. Can you just loosen up?
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. That's a wrap up.
It's official, Kara is wrapped. It's over. In the end, we got what we got. It's sad, too, to see the whole filmmaking operation getting dismantled. I think we had a very efficient movie-making machine going for a while. Put together a startlingly efficient crew. Certainly, the operator, Leandro, was probably the best camera operator I've worked with. I mean, it was just extraordinary. Great operator. Much of this project rested on his broad shoulders. His ability to wield that Steadicam like a battle axe. Action! Dino, the Portuguese first assistant director, was also magnificent. Just did a hell of a job, and he was on the ball the whole way through, but was able to be very, very sweet and soft-spoken and a very nice guy while still being able to turn on enough authority to keep the thing running and to remain in control of the shoot. I think he did an outstanding job. But every department otherwise was really strong. Great wardrobe and cosmetic makeup people. We got really, really lucky and just had an excellent location, an excellent crew, which enabled us to get as much as we could get, as much as we got. I reclaimed my chair. I got back my fucking director's chair. Doesn't sound like much, and they're just little rinky-dink camp chair things at the end of the day, but it's symbolic value. I did say that I was going to have to come south to fight the fight and reclaim my chair, and I've done that. I'll go back up north, burying my director's chair, and setting up what comes next. Maybe there'll be some opportunity to revisit Arkham County in the future and to continue to flesh out the Lovecraft universe. And I've got one eye on Dunwich Horror and Wilbur Whately, the Whately family. I pray to the old gods that we've done a decent job and that this thing is entertaining enough for folk to be able to waste 90 minutes of their lives on watching it. That's all.
Where's the dance? Yes! Yes!